My name is Alphonso Bailey. This is my story.
I can remember when I first came here to Kentucky State in 1979, my freshman year. My dad, he would call the room. I would have several guys in my room, and we'd be playing music and just being young guys, just having fun, laughing and carrying on. And he would call, and I would pick up the phone, and he said, "What's that noise?" And I hollered at everybody, it's Daddy, be quiet, be quiet." Everybody shut up. And my father, when he would come up to our football games, I had a counselor teacher, Mrs. Childs. He would come to the games. He would always go straight to her and ask her, "How's he doing in his class?" And I'll be standing behind my father looking at Miss Childs going, "Please, please." Dad was he played a big role in my life. He was like, I really had a covering with my father. I really felt his power around me at all times. And that day when they called me and told me in the dorm that he had died, I couldn't believe it. I passed out on the floor just crying. Next thing I remember, they was waking me up in my room. I lost my father. I found myself hanging out with people I don't normally hang out with and doing things that I never dreamed I would do, like getting high and drinking. And for me, it was a thing. I didn't have my father. I guess I was angry and upset, so I found myself smoking dope and drinking and even snorting crank. And then I had a car accident and dislocated my kneecap. And it was like my football career was just stopped, Pam, just like that. And now it was at a point where it's like everything was falling apart, like I was losing it. Where do I go from here? Now we're doing armed robberies. We did 3 here in my hometown and another 2 where I was in school, Kentucky State University, on a football scholarship. And just sitting there and thinking about it, it just felt like I was out of my mind. I had no care, no restraints, no care. Just madness, just crazy. It was a bad time.
Craziness ensues.
When you make bad choices, you don't look ahead, you don't look down the line about what's gonna happen. You know, people can tell you, or you can make a little statement, say, well, I can handle it. Can you handle it? Because the choices, once again, always come back on you. The choices you make, whether good or bad. First coming in, that this This is what I call the beginning of the nightmare. When I first got here that day, I was afraid. I was fearful. I was shameful, disgraced. Didn't want to be here, but I knew I was here because of all the wrong that I've done. Couldn't believe I did the things that I've done. It was a moment. This is when your journey begins. How you gonna deal with your journey? Are you gonna triumph in your journey? Are you gonna fold in your journey? We pulled up, and maybe it was in a bus, a correctional bus. About 15 other inmates were with me. We were shackles on our feet, had chains on our hands. We got off the bus, and it was like a noise. I don't know if they still have it here, but it was like, all the noise they made. And it was scary. You hear the gates, boom. When they shut, after you get off the buses or vans you were in, you hear the loud noise, you hear the chain going up the steps. The biggest question that a lot of 21-year-olds my age was in college was thinking, when can I go buy a beer at the liquor store? I'm old enough to get a drink. But I was 21 years old coming to prison. When you make those split-second bad decisions, this is where you end up at. It could be worse. I could be dead.
Desperation, desperation. What shame, what shame, what shame, what shame.
When I got here, they gave me my institutional number, which was 87628. And with that number, that's your new name now, 87628. To the staff, to the guards, you're known as 87628. Robert Cahill was someone that came into my life in a moment where I really needed some help. He was a recreational correction officer there. He motivated me, he inspired me in a moment where I needed it so bad. Sometimes you go through life and you take a fall, but it's all about not staying down, but getting up. I learned how to get up and run the race that's set before me, and I'm very thankful that I have a friend like you in my life to help me run that race.
Bailey, the only thing I did for you was set you a goal. You took that goal and you went for it.
You would always put a challenge in me. No matter what I was up against or who I was up against, I could always win. You always gave me that challenge.
Well, you accepted that challenge and went after it. You didn't try to hide. You weren't afraid. The biggest thing with Alphonso was his courage. His courage. He didn't have to put on mystiques of toughness. He didn't have to play the inmate games. In the world we were living in, you could smell it. You could hear it. There was never a quiet moment. You had no privacy, even in the showers or on the job, because everything was wide open. You had no common human decency because you could be brought in and strip searched at any time they wanted to. You never went outside the institution unless you were chained up like an animal. It's very barbaric and very uncivilized. Back in those days when Alphonso was on the yard and I was working there, things were so tough that if somebody owed somebody a pack of cigarettes and didn't pay it back, the person that was owed that pack of cigarettes was obligated to either stab them, beat their head in with a pipe, or try to kill him in some other fashion or hire it done. If they didn't, they were considered pushovers. Other guys would walk around in cliques, in groups. Alphonso walked where he wanted to walk, did what he wanted to do. Somebody tried to get him involved in something, he'd back out of it, say, no, not me, I got something else going. His thing was strictly himself, his boxing career, trying to get himself going. That's all he did was focus on his training. He kept on training, kept on working out. Anytime he felt depressed or felt like he's getting pulled into something, he'd come talk to me, or he'd climb in the ring and take out his frustrations in the ring. He loved to train. Because while he was training, while he was working out, his mind wasn't around his surroundings. He could get away in his own separate world. It was his way of focusing out of the depression and the carnage that's in there. Alphonso would not have been able to do it unless Alphonso had faith in himself. Alphonso did it.